welcome to Atheist. I'm Courtney here with
Kyle.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about this conversation. So he's going to teach me a little bit about the different sexual identifications because I've gotten a little bit confused, and actually I have a personal interest in it because my eventual goal is to become a sex therapist. So it's a topic that I love a lot and I care a lot about. So take it away.
Hey. So my name's Kyle. Simplistic version, I am demisexual. Now, for short terms, I just say identify as gay. Easy, because it seems people don't understand that because everyone kind of goes on labels. But there's a big distinction between like demisexual, pansexual, bisexual, heterosexual. Yeah.
So can you just first describe like what demi means?
Okay, so demisexual is a person that requires an emotional connection. That's usually the very first piece of it. Now, while everyone's like, yeah, well, everyone kind of needs an emotional connection, no, that's not necessarily true. And for me, in order for me to want to connect with them, have a relationship with them, there's the connection piece, but then there's also that's how I get hard. If I don't have that connection, it's not going to work.
Right.
But it isn't gender specific. While for a long time I thought like, oh, I'm just a gay man, rudely awakened one day at the strip club with a black girl who completely turned me on, and it was like, wow. And I kind of explored that avenue and realized that it's like, wow, it's this emotional connection piece that really makes a big difference.
So I'm curious. So I guess I've heard it described that whether you find someone attractive from across the room is more like the general sexuality, but then demi is more, you have to have a conversation with them, you have to get to know them more. Is there like a threshold of how long you've gotten to know someone or how strong of a connection you've gotten?
Usually I can tell within 45 seconds of having a conversation with someone if it sparks my interest, like, hey, I want to get to know more.
Right.
The complicated piece of demi/pan is sometimes we may come off as where we get attached quickly, or we may fall in love. It isn't necessarily that it's like, hey, some people we love, but not necessarily in love. It's more like, hey, I really love you, but I love you as a friend or as a family member, as opposed to an actual lover.
And it seems like it would be kind of complicated for demis because getting to know someone and investing in like dating somebody and then discovering whether you're attracted to them or not takes more time, I think, than somebody who is generally physically attracted to someone from across the room and like is able to see whether they have a sexual connection with them as well. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Well, and when you were saying that, the thing that came to my head was just like the whole ideology of labels, where it's like, oh, if you fit into this norm, that means you're attracted to only these kind of people, and that, and that's it. There's no gray area. And in actuality, no, it kind of goes, I forget what that spectrum is, that one long bar where it's like, gay, straight, bi, you're somewhere on the
Kinsey scale.
There we go, the Kinsey scale.
1 through 6. So when someone's Kinsey 6 gay, means they're as gay as you can be. So 0, I think it's either 0, it's either 0 to 6 or 1 to 6, but the lowest number is very heterosexual, and 6 is very, very gay, and then you have people in between.
Yeah, and I just find that fascinating because I think sometimes they do that based on the personality as well as the sexuality. Because I don't think, it's like, if you're a gay man, I don't think you can make yourself any gayer. It's like, hey, I'm attracted to men, boom, that's it. You can't really make that any more gay. Now, if you had personality where it's like, sis, let me tell you, then yeah, you can take it up a notch.
Right.
Same thing with heterosexual.
So I've been kind of confused, and I've been wanting to ask somebody about the difference between bisexual and pansexual, but first I did want to kind of touch on whether demi is something that's combined with other sexualities, like if it's just if demi is just describing the level of emotional connection that you require, or if it's about connecting with someone who's any gender and it's just about the emotional connection. Does that make sense? Like, if you can be a gay demisexual or a straight demisexual, or if demisexual is its own standalone sexuality that's like it's only about human connection across everybody.
Yeah, so as I said, for me, I'm learning all this as I've been experimenting, trying out different things. So I totally think, because I actually have a couple of gay friends who are demi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they had an emotional connection with gay people. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Right.
I think there's endless possibilities. Mm-hmm. I know for me personally, it's there's no gender involved because, like I said, I've fallen in love with women. I've fallen in love with men.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a good point too. That there's, in terms of sexuality, there can be a difference between someone that you would find an emotional connection with and someone that you would be willing to experiment with. That like the level of sexuality or orientation that you have, whether it describes one or the other. That like, you know, some people say that, you know, I'm willing to experiment with other women, but I only fall in love with men, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's how you would describe it, orientation.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that kind of really sums it up. I mean, that's also like gay for pay. It's like men having sex with other men strictly for money. It's like I'm still attracted to women. Mm-hmm. Guys aren't my thing unless I'm getting paid.
Right. So I guess we can get into the difference between bisexual and pan, because from what I understand, pan is being attracted to all the genders, including like transgender and things like that. And bisexual was mostly binary between men and women, but I've been hearing that that's shifted to being a lot more open, and so I'm curious what the difference between the two is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this up front. Like I said, I'm not a professional in reference to all that, but this is just my personal experience, especially with a lot of my friends who are bisexual, pansexual, demisexual, and then my own personal experience. From the pansexual standpoint, my friend, the best way that he put it, because he kind of related it to with sex, like sex to him is like you and me having a conversation playing video games. Mm-hmm. Literally no difference in that regards. Mm. His connection is built based on what you guys do together, and then also having that emotional connection piece of it. Mm-hmm. Bisexual is just you have men, you have women. Pan is it doesn't matter what they are gender wise, because it doesn't involve gender. I feel like it's more of a higher level to what bisexual versus heterosexual versus.
Yes, I don't know, because I was listening to a bisexual YouTuber do a video with another bisexual woman. It was two female bisexual people, and they were describing bisexual as all of the genders. And so I was I wasn't quite sure the difference, because they never described what they would define pansexual as being, but you were saying something about the level of connection or something, that there was a difference there, that pansexual was somewhere between bisexual and demi, maybe? Is that what you were saying? Yeah.
I mean, I guess when I look at bisexual, it's just like, okay, yeah, you go both ways for two genders, right? Which I understand there's like 7 or 17?
I don't know.
No. I don't know.
You do you, but it's fine.
Exactly. To me, bisexual and pan, from my view of bisexual is you're attracted to two different genders, hence bi.
I see.
Pansexual is just kind of, to me, is just like the elevated version of bisexual. It's like, hey, I'm attracted based on characteristics, traits, not gender or...
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. I maybe they would just disagree with that then, because they were describing bisexual as like much more broad and being into transgender people or non-binary people, and so I'm not sure where the binary bi, because that it's in the word, so it makes sense. But that's how I understood it, where it was binary, and then pan was just like, you know.
You understand why I hate I hate labels, because it's like, oh, you have to fit into this category or this box or this box. Whereas if you just, like, hey, I'm into this, I'm into this, I'm into this. I don't need a label, but if you need a label to understand it.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, people who identify as different religious labels, you use the label to most accurately describe yourself, and you mean what you mean by it. It doesn't have to fit within the strict view of what the definition is in the dictionary or something. It's just however you identify and how you describe that is what it is. But I guess I would be curious maybe just to talk to more bisexual people and get their opinion, because I don't know, and I guess neither of us are bisexual, so I don't know if we can say.
Oh, but I have a few, so we can I can always invite them.
Yeah, and in the trans community, you talk about,
and I get one of those too.
Yeah, once you've met a trans person, you've met exactly one trans person. Like, you don't know. They can't speak for all trans people, and neither can all atheists. So we, yeah, I guess it's an unfinished conversation, but I wanted to see your take on it. So yeah.
Thank you for having me for that.
Yeah, thanks.